Awesome. Good afternoon. I'm Beth Copeland with Georgia Christian Business Network, and we are putting God back in business. I'm so excited today. I love it when I get the opportunity to not only have a powerful platform guest, but also a friend to join me on the podcast for Transformational Tuesday. Had a team meeting and we renamed it. It's called Transformational Tuesday. And I hope I've gotten it right, but they'll let me know if I didn't. But we love the opportunity because our platform guests that we present on Tuesdays and our regular podcast bring about transformation in the lives of those that we serve in our local community, especially for our sponsors and for our members. No less today, my dear friend Carol Love, Executive Director of Family Promise Gwinnett, is my guest today. In just a second, I'm going to give her an opportunity to introduce herself. We've already promoted her on paper to let you know credibility wise who she is, but I want to hear it. I always love to hear my guests introduce themselves directly from a personal standpoint, just to tell you from their viewpoint of who they are, why it's important for you to know. This is the year of higher ground at GCBN. And we are so excited about that. And I'm so excited about the title and the topic that Carol's going to share with you that she's going to present from. But this is your year of higher ground. It's what I want to encourage you right now, regardless of what it feels like, what it looks like. And I believe that this podcast is going to be the very one to transition your mindset where you're already on track. You're going to track a little higher. Whether you're feeling like I've been overlooked and I'm not getting with this higher ground opportunity, this is going to be it. So welcome, Carol. Thank you for joining us. This isn't your first pony ride with GCBN. So you take it from here, and I'm going to get us live on some other platforms while you do that. Introduce yourself.
Okay. Thank you, Beth. I am so
Thank you.
blessed. Oh my goodness. I'm so blessed to get to know you and just how God has brought our paths together and then who's come along in my path because of you and vice versa. I know. And it's just exciting that I have the opportunity to speak. I'm very honored that you asked me. A lot of times I'm just like, oh my goodness, what am I going to say? And Monique is on the call with me. She's my assistant and she knows how I am about this. And always God either takes me in one direction or another direction for when I come on here. And again, I was talking to the Lord this morning. I have the honor of being the executive director at Family Promise. But one of my things is I am honored to be able to talk to you guys about the Lord and, share with you guys other ways that I don't get to share, right? So I talk at churches a lot about Family Promise, but I don't get to talk about the Lord as much and what he's doing in my life and stuff like that. So who I am, I am a lover of Jesus and I adventure seek. I am married to an amazing man, Ben, and I have a wonderful son, Tristan. We are huge campers and we love to hike. We love to get up into the mountains. In fact, because Gwinnett has gotten so large, I'm always like, I got to get out of here so that I can just get some respite. And the title of what I'm talking about is Ascending New Heights, Embracing Innovation with Integrity, Wellness, and Humility. And I came up with this when we were headed to the Smokies. And the Smoky Mountains, that's kind of our place of rest and peace. And I went to the Elkmont campground. And to do that, you have to go over one of the highest peaks in the park. And I did it in the middle of the night when it was foggy, and it was terrifying when I got to the peak. And I may or may not touch on some of that when we go higher and ascend in the mountains. When I started descending, it got better, but then you also got to notice just the life that God has in the valley. And I sat next to the rivers of streams and I was like, Lord, talk to me about what I'm supposed to say. And he started talking to me and I made it more about me. And then he helped transform what I'm going to talk about to talk more about him and a little bit about my story, but kind of more, So
Yeah,
anyways,
yeah.
I love being in the mountains. The Lord reveals himself to me. I'm always looking for the symbolism in every single step that I take and where he is around us. And he's just a beautiful creator. And I will.
How powerful, how powerful. And I believe from listening to you, there's some lessons that we could glean from as well when you're ready to share them on how it sounded scary. Can I just be real? Terrifying at points, as in the night, in the dark, and then, but you made it to the peak because there are dark times, and don't let me take you away, but girl, you were speaking to my spirit already when you were talking about that situation, because you were kind of defined in some places where I am personally. We keep going, although we can't exactly see the direction, but we, if as long as we're ascending and because we're going closer to him, then we got to keep moving to get to the peak. Girl, you already speaking to me. So you do
Well,
whatever God told you
I'm
to
going
do.
to touch on that. I'm going to touch on that because I told you I was going in the middle of the night and it was about
Yeah.
midnight. And the higher you got, I mean, there was a warning sign. There was a warning sign that said dense fog ahead. And so, there's not very many cars. I was just counting the cars along the way. But as I started getting, and we're talking like 10 cars that I passed, as I get to that highest peak, some truck comes up and just gets in the back of my rear view mirror and lights bright. And so you have this dense fog. I decide, okay, I know that I'm supposed to keep these lights on dim, but let's see what happens when I put them on high. And I get like so blinded because that's thick white fog that just comes right back into your eyes. And then I have this distraction in the back, right? And
Uh-huh.
so, I was just thinking about when Moses would ascend to the mountain and the cloud would come down, and what it engulfed him in. And so when I get to the top of the mountain, I have these lights in the back shining in my rearview mirror. I could not see like 2 to 3 feet in front of me. Like that's about it. I start freaking out. And Tristan is hearing me. He's in the car. And I finally pull over and let this truck pass. I could finally have a side to do that. But I'm in this thickness and 2 feet in front of me, where sometimes when you're in the thickest of it all, God is right there. And it's all you can see. All you can see is his light, his path guiding you through. But anyhow.
Girl, come on. And you know what? You keep speaking to my spirit, man, because you couldn't see, but you were walking by faith, not by sight.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I heard. But you kept going. And then you had enough wisdom to pull it to the side, let that storm pass. And then you got back on track. Girl, you know you are blessing me today. I'm like about to text Rose and say, get her again soon. Because I know it's some stuff here. Oh my God, I know it's some stuff here. The month of May, the entire month of May, you're our last one for the month, that we're really parading our community partners. Family Promise is one. Not only do I have the pleasure of serving under your leadership on the board of directors with you, Ron, and Delisa Dunn, and Jason, all these wonderful people. Melissa, she's coming to GGG. Did you know that?
Oh, yes. She's so
It's
amazing.
just amazing to have that opportunity, but also we get the opportunity to sow financially. And yeah, I said it just like that. We get the opportunity to sow into the wonderful cause that you lead. And when I hear you're sharing the ascending, the opportunity to how you came about this title. You didn't just take it for granted that you would have an opportunity to sit on GCBN's podcast. I'm just going to do this, but you sought the Lord as to what he would give you to say to us, because that's the leader that you are. And already we're what, not even 15 minutes into the and I'm already elevated. And I know there's some feedback already on the Facebook side of the house of how people are saying, glad to be able to join for a minute. Happy Tuesdays, lady. Monique's over there as well. It's just wonderful to have you share these nuggets. But you go ahead in your presentation. I'm going to try to sit on my hands and close my mouth and hear what you have to say about ascending new heights, embracing innovation with integrity, wellness, and humility. Come on, girl. You're
Okay.
bringing it.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get into it. I don't know if I have the opportunity to share my screen at some point,
You do.
but
You
I
do.
have one picture that I want to share, and I'll let you know when we go there.
Okay, sure. Sounds good.
So, of course, in doing and coming up with this title and thinking of what I'm going to talk about, I, of course, am going to take higher to heart. You know how much I loved double and the year of the double. And, you know, one thing that when you revealed the word higher at the Christmas party, one of the things that you said was boldly knowing, boldly knowing. And I think when we go higher, we get to know the Lord better, better and better and better. So just a reminder, higher, you have your heart of humility, inseparable integrity, gracious giver, honor him in your health, exemplary execute, and relationship over revenue. And when I made my title, I thought about just touching on a couple of those, but I've touched on all of them because I feel like the Lord has just kind of showed me how all of these letters kind of go into everything that I'm going to talk about. I had mentioned that ascending new heights, this came from Isaiah 43, and I think that's 18 through 19. And that says, but forget all that. It is nothing compared to what I'm doing, what I'm going to do, for I am about to do something new. See, I have already begun. Do you not see it? I will make a pathway through the wilderness. I will create rivers in the dry wasteland. He is doing something new and going to new heights. Going higher is something of going new every day. Every day he's going to take us higher. Ascending. When I think of ascending, I think of Mount Everest. And I'm currently doing a leadership class called Altitude. And it's teaching you how to be a Sherpa in life. And it's actually one of my homework assignments to talk to people about Sherpa. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is so timely because that just became a homework thing last week. And so I was excited that God had already given me this message, but wanted me to take it in a different way. And I think we all know that Mount Everest is the highest peak in the world. It's the highest place you can go on foot. And the elevation is 29,032 feet. You cannot go any higher on land. But isn't it beautiful that the Lord wants to take us higher and higher? There is no elevation summit. It is just a higher and higher way of being with him and knowing him more so that we can share with other people what he's done with us. Now, if somebody's going to climb Mount Everest, they don't just go up there and they do it on their own. They have people called Sherpas that actually are the guides that lead people up Mount Everest. And a Sherpa is a member of the Tibetan tribe, the Tibetan people who live on the slopes of the Himalayas. And they're known for providing support for foreign trekkers and mountain climbers. And don't we know we are all foreigners in this land? And thankfully, we have a Sherpa that can take us and guide us on our way. And God really wants to be our Sherpa. He wants to take us From Glory to Glory to Glory, one of my favorite songs. And he really wants us to go higher in reflecting who he is to those around us. And in my training, it talks about how we want to become a Sherpa so that we can help the people that we lead be Sherpas. And the only way I can be a good Sherpa is if I allow the Lord to be my Sherpa. So when ascending, you have your guide. I want to share this. Can I share this picture? Did you say I have the opportunity to share that, my screen?
Yes, please do. Yes.
Okay. So, oh goodness, share screen to here. Okay. So, okay. So this is the way up to Mount Everest. And it shows you different camps along the way. When you climb Mount Everest, you first climb up to the base camp and you get acclimated there. You have all of your supplies that you're going to need for the rest of the climb. And you would think, okay, here we go. We can make it all the way to the top, right? But this climb to the top, you actually have your base camp. And then you climb, I believe, up to ABC. I can't remember. It might be Camp 2. But you climb all the way up there. You hang out, get acclimated. You drop your supplies. And then you actually go back down to base camp. Because you need to go back down and get even, like, you can't stay up at Camp 2 elevation too long. And then you go back up to Camp 2 and you go to Camp 3 and you drop your supplies. And then you come back down, you get acclimated. And so it's actually a journey that takes, a longer time than what we would expect. You have something to say?
Listen, I tell you what, God has a plan, and
I am a part of it.
yes, you are. You are ministering. I know there are people over listening and will also watch the replay on the Facebook live stream. But I believe God sent you for me this morning. I'm out here and where did I tell you? Fairburn or Fayetteville or somewhere like that. Been driving all morning and for things we do for love for my granddaughter's graduation. And there's another one this evening. They split the both any rate. But when you talked about going higher, you made it to that point, but you had to turn around and go back because you can't breathe too long. You had to come back and get another supply, another level before you could go even higher. And sometimes I think, and I've talked to people recently, Carol, that said, well, I was going forward, then all of a sudden I went backwards. You didn't go back. God allowed it because there's some other opportunity for you to be able, you can't stay at that level too long. That doesn't mean you're not going to go even higher from your picture, right? We're still going to elevate to the next level. But when we go back, see, the delay is not a denial. It's what's coming up in my spirit right now because I seemed as if I was delayed. I had my momentum going, but there was some reason that I needed to come back because he had to prepare me just a little bit more for where I was going, even to the next level. You are blessing me. If I had socks on today, they'd be off. Keep going. Keep it coming. Oh my God.
You're awesome. In preparing, yeah, because you bless my soul right back. So
okay.
In preparing this, I was listening to If Equip is an online Bible study, and they have a video. And one of the things that they talked about is in this human journey, we will never arrive. I am an achiever. I am on earth. We're not going to arrive to that final destination that, I'm here and I'm going to stay here forever and I'm just going to rejoice. And then we got to go back down to come back up to a new level, right? As an achiever, that is actually something very difficult for me to really be okay with, is the fact that that goal that I meet or whatever I achieve, ultimately it's not going to bring me, fulfillment. But knowing, really embracing the human side of, I'm not going to arrive, but I'm going to allow this Sherpa to take me higher and higher and where he wants me to go, and eventually arrive to glory with him one day. But
Oh,
I
God.
love you.
Oh, this is so awesome. I thank God for you. I truly thank God for helping us to understand if we relinquish and surrender our control, our opportunity to provide the direction. Because, see, it would have killed us, is my interpretation of with my understanding of why you need to go back.
Yes.
And
Good.
also because we try to go too fast and we try
Mm,
to get ahead
mhm.
and we see the peak at the top, and that's why he can't give us too much of the vision, but in kind of like nugget here, nugget there. And I'm asking you this openly on air, but Jessica Banner, our dear friend, your BFF, we've
Mhm.
had this conversation. Have y'all worked on this together at all? Because some of our conversation, she has a vision about this, that she really shared something very similar to this in a one-to-one with me. But one of the things that I saw, I thought of then with Jessica, and is coming back to mind right now, is some people don't go back when they need to. When he's beckoning them to come back, he can beckon you back, but you continue to go on and ignore his call to not go forward, and you end up dying as you ascend
Mhm.
because it was too much for you to bear. You couldn't breathe. You didn't know how to operate in that atmosphere. You weren't ready for that position. And so
That's
that's
good.
what you've got my mind just going, girl. This
That's
is
good. And
good.
we haven't
This is
talked
so
about
good.
it. We haven't talked about it at all. So that's what's awesome, is being best friends and when God starts talking similar to you at the same time. So I love
And,
that.
and
Thank you
and
for
you didn't
sharing.
even know that until I just said that to
Exactly.
you. So I'm pushing you back. Y'all got to talk about as a collaboration, something in there. I don't know.
I love my girl Jessica.
I know you do.
So
This is awesome.
so back to ascending. I showed you the picture. When you go up to that summit, when you go from base camp and you're ascending and descending from those different heights, it takes about 40 days. They say the average time from arriving to base camp to reaching the summit is 40 days. When I researched that and that number 40, oh my God, I was just like, wow, Lord. That I just look for symbolism in everything. That's just how he speaks to me. Um, and when it on that climb, it actually is the Sherpas who are doing the heavy carrying so that you, the person, the climber, can acclimate your body to the high altitude. So the Sherpa is carrying that heavy load. However, the climber is still carrying about 20 pounds to 30 pounds of a pack with their own personal gear. And so they're taking this process all the way up to the summit. But those Sherpas are the ones that are carrying it all, carrying those burdens, cast those burdens to the Lord. And that's going to help you get to the top. That 40 days, and when I looked up what 40 days signifies, it signifies new life, new growth, transformation, and a change from one great task to another. So I just love that. That is just researching that, and how all that, just climbing Mount Everest and that whole process just reflects our life. And allowing God to be our Sherpa, going higher to become more and more like him. I believe that higher, our acronym, explains that whole process on how we can reflect him, to everyone that we see, and then help others climb to those higher heights as well. But to do that, any person who's climbing, they have to stay close to the Sherpa. We have to stay close to our Sherpa to ascend where he wants us to go. But we also have to trust our Sherpa, who is carrying most of everything, and he's giving us just a little bit in our pack, and trust his path and trust his guidance. And recently I was kind of in a place that was, I had shared this with you at the board meeting, and I'll talk a little bit about, if we have time at the end, as to where I was, how long I've kind of been in this state and the things that I've been mourning. But I found myself just in a place of, why, God? How many times do I have to ask you to take this away? Why am I dealing with this again? And the other night, doing devotional with my family, Tristan read Psalm 13. We're going through the Psalms. And I was like, okay, read that again, because that's exactly what I just experienced. And Psalm 13 says, this is from David, Lord, how long must I wait? Will you forget me forever? How long will you turn your face away from me? How long must I struggle with my thoughts? How long must my heart be sad day after day? How long will my enemies keep winning the battle over me? Lord, my God, look at me and answer me. Give me new life, or I will die. Then my enemies will say, we have beaten him. They will be filled with joy when I die. But I trust in your faithful love. My heart is filled with joy because you will save me. I will sing praise to the Lord. He has been so good to me. And that is what we do. Put our trust in his unfailing love. And that's what I've had to do. I talked to you about how in burnout, ministry, people can get in burnout so easily. And so being able to kind of shift my mindset as to being thankful and not just saying, God, you got to show up for me here, but changing my heart, changing my mind, and how I don't do this perfectly, but Lord, thank you that I get to do the good works you've chosen for me long, long ago. I'm doing this
Long
because I
ago.
love you.
Yeah. The opportunity that I found, and this takes me back to that point of gratefulness. And I'm from the King James School, right? I love Psalms 13. And when you said Kristen was reading it to you, I just got such joy at such a young age, participating in the family Bible study. It is so good because you're planting roots and you're planting seeds. And I love that. I mean, reflected back to raising our children. But 13:6 from the King James Version, I love the word bountifully. And that's what it says. The last verse says, I will sing to the Lord because he has dealt bountifully with me. And I love that opportunity. What you read and how God, he's trying to take us higher. And sometimes we feel like we're not moving, we're not shifting, but he's preparing you because he know when you go to a new level. Lots of people say new devil, but what I say often is when I have a new level, I have greater opportunities. And Jeremiah 12:5 speaks to that. Have you run with footmen and they weary you? How can you contend with horses in the land of the Jordan? And when you look at that, footmen have what? 2 legs. Horses have how many? 4. See, you've got to be up to speed to hang out with the horses and to run the same race. And in order to do that, his methods, his ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. And there's a vast difference in how he'll approach our arriving at the finish line than we will approach it. More often than not, And I think you're one of the ones that I saw post this. I've seen it numerous of times. God's direction to get is not the straight line. It goes whoop, 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 whoop.
Mm,
Nevertheless,
mhm.
we arrive to the end and we make it. As we look back on it, we recognize, oh my God, thank you, God, for all that you protected me from along the journey.
Mhm.
Because it is a
That's
journey. Yeah.
yes, that's good. So thank you for that. I love that you get to share with me the things that the Lord says at the same time with you. So, um, okay, so ascending new heights. Next thing was embracing innovation. And I'm going to go back to Isaiah 43 again, but forget all that. It is nothing compared to what I'm going to do, for I am about to do something new. See, I have already begun. Do you not see it? I will make a pathway through the wilderness. I will create rivers in the dry wasteland. So, innovation. Innovation, I have never thought about this in a different way than business. But innovation is a new thing or a new method of doing something. As I said, business has always been what I've thought of. Somebody coming up with a cool idea, innovative idea, an innovative product, whatever it is. But I had never correlated innovation with God. But that's why we're putting God back into business. I love that. So I'm going to put God back into my business. And what are you going to create new, not just in business, but in my life? Right. So innovation, creating that new thing. He is about to do something new. And it says, forget the past. It says, forget that last innovative method, right? Like a lot of times I think of, and this is what I struggle with. Oh my goodness, Lord, I'd gotten to this point and then I had to go back, and I feel like I'm not there anymore. And when you start thinking about that past of where you are, you're not looking for where he's going to take you, for that new innovative place that he's going to bring you to. And so I just loved, embracing that, making it something we're focusing on new. I had talked about I have new faith, I have new hope, I have new love today. Every day, I kind of shared this in the boardroom, remind myself, I cannot live on the past. I cannot go back to where he had taken me and be able to move forward. Yes. So we're good. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Didn't you? I always like to give you time to respond if you had something. So when I was thinking about ascending, and I talked about going glory to glory, there's a song out there by Bethel, and I love the lyrics. And I'm going to read them to you because I think that they're very powerful. And if you don't know the song, I just encourage you to do glory to glory Bethel, and it'll pop up and listen to it. So here we go. Created us from dust. You came and you lived among us. You took on our frame. You walked in our pain. And now you're taking us higher. You stepped into time. You laid down your life to save us. You took all our shame. On the cross, it was laid. And now you're taking us higher. We go from glory to glory to glory. We'll never be the same. We're forever changed. You call me your friend, brought into your endless kingdom. By the blood I was made, no longer a slave. And now you're taking us higher. We go from glory to glory to glory. We'll never be the same. We're forever changed. Until we reach that day, love conquers everything. And we'll cry an anthem singing, holy, holy. And when we see that day, we're standing face to face. We'll shout an anthem singing, holy. And there's so many things in that just apply to the hire.
I love it. And I'm going to ask you because there's some people that are official, unofficial on our GGG choir. God put this in my heart this morning. I kid you not, that I needed to reach out to some people in particular. You're one. And I want you to make a note, a mental note, or jot it down. That song has to come forth. Okay. That
Yes, ma'am.
song has to come forth, right?
Yes. All right, I
I
gotcha.
love the lyrics, just powerful, powerful, powerful. And you know what I also love is how when people come on this platform and they confirm, I know people say, Beth, you're gifted with words, you're gifted with acronyms as if it's me coming up with something. But when you bring about that affirmation, the confirmation, like you just did, it's the opportunity for me to know that it was not of myself, that it was God that gave that and dropped it in my spirit. You're one of the ones that were elevated resistantly with the double. It was like resistance all the while. Like somebody told me, Shantae Bullock out of Alabama. She's a GCBN member. She said, you can do whatever you want to next year, but I'm not leaving double.
It was a good one.
It was a good one. The year of the double was good. And can I be real and honest? I didn't want to leave it either. And I
Yeah.
was like, somebody walked up to me and said, how are you going to top that? And my peace, and it came out of my mouth before I realized it. And you know how the enemy tries to get us later
Mm-hmm.
on about something we said. And I was like, I don't have to. He has to. He's the
Yep.
one that gave me double. So he'll have to top that. And then afterwards, I was like, God, how are you going to follow that? But it's
Yeah.
what you said. And it's taken Chrissy McKee and I had a meeting today, or maybe it was in yesterday's prayer, or maybe I was her reel that she put out there that I learned this, but it was from Chrissy McKee. And she said, we got to open our Bibles and we got to read the word in so many opportunities. I may be botching it up a little bit, but basically what she meant, open your Bible, read your word, and ask God to reveal to you his character, who he is. And what I interpreted is just listen what he has to say to you, what he wants to speak to you. And that innovation that you talked about, you brought me back to ex nihilo. He was an innovative God. He created something out of nothing. That's the innovation that we operate in. So when you come up with showing us Mount Everest and showing us the elevation peaks and the process, and of course, it makes all the sense in the world for you to do that now that we see it. But God gave you that. And so the uniqueness of our presentation, what makes us so effective, what makes us so powerful is the anointing that we receive when we deliver ourselves and surrender unto him and allow him to fill us up. And then it pours out of us onto others. That's why at 12:12, I looked at it and said, how long we been on this call? And and I'm about to lose my seat. I'm in a library out here in whatever county this is, because Jessica found me somewhere to take the call while they're over there eating pizza and such. And but I was like, oh my God, you're so good. And I had the bright idea to walk here from the pizza joint in my heels. I was like, I bought shoes to change, but in my rush, I'm halfway here before I realized you got on your heels still. But I was so excited, and I'm saying that to say this. I was so excited to get to hear this. And when in 12 minutes after 12, and I'm on the call with you, I felt no ways tired. I felt energized, excited about what's next. And if I would have shared with you prior to the call, and I did a little bit, what a cuckoo morning this has been. So it's about 7, 6, whatever time. It's been crazy. But God prepared me to come and to press and to be here, to be an opportunity that I could hear from you, because I have to be transparent. I almost had to pass you off to see if Stephanie would fill in for me today. Stephanie and Shaky, she's my backup sometimes. But I said, I'm not even calling Stephanie. I've got to be there with Carol. So I was telling Jessica my dilemma, and it's a lot of things that happen to get me here. But look at God. And I know, and I want to speak to the people that are listening and those that will watch the replay. It's not just for me. There's a powerful word here that God's servant sought the Lord. And you may be challenged, even as I was, even about getting to point A and point B and feeling as if sometimes it's overwhelming, but you're still on track. You may be feeling as you're standing still or you're going backward, but God still has you. Our determination is going to make the difference in whether we go higher or we stay stuck, or when we go back, we stay back. So, Carol, I salute you today. I thank God for you. You
Oh,
have
thank
helped me.
you.
You have helped us, I believe. Keep
Well,
going.
thank you.
How are you going to tie this thing up?
All right, so let's go to higher. Heart of humility. I love word studies. That's just, I think that's me being the daughter of an English teacher. But when I think of my heart, what does God want to do in my heart? Psalm 51:10. Create in me a clean heart, O God. Renew a loyal spirit within me. Or some of them say, renew a steadfast spirit in me. I think when we go back down, when we feel so beat up, our heart just, I mean, my soul can just be, I get angry and weepy and, but I have to remind God to continue to create in me that clean heart of what his heart is and be steadfast in that, renew a steadfast spirit. And steadfast is that I am convinced that what I am doing is right and I refuse to change it or give up. And part of that is what is right in my heart is following the Lord. I met with a pastor yesterday and he was just kind of checking in on me. And I talked to him about how I went out to, sometimes I go to Stone Mountain to hear the Lord and work on this and see what God has to say. I was not feeling very good this weekend. But then, I talk about symbolism and how I'm just like, God, let me see you in something, even stepping over the roots. And when I trip on a root, just about like, you gotta look at your path and, watch out for those things that'll trip you up. But then I questioned myself. I think a lot of times, even in this past season of my life, I've questioned, Lord, do I really know how to hear you? Believing in your miracles, having someone, the power of prayer, pray over me. Do I really need to do that? Because I've been into that. I don't know, just questioning. And the pastor said, Carol, I think I'm just here today to confirm that you know how to hear from the Lord. And you know him and you know when he's talking to you. And so being steadfast in, I know his heart. I know him and I'm convinced that what he has for me is what is right. And I'm going to continue to move forward in that. I'm going to be firm in my purpose and unwavering. So love that about the clean up my heart, Lord. Create in me that clean heart. Another thing, that innovation, when I was thinking about the heart of humility, change my heart, oh God, was that song, Make It Ever New. He's the potter, I am the clay. Ezekiel 36:26 says, and I will give you a new heart. And I will put a new spirit in you. I will take away your stony, stubborn heart and give you a tender, responsive heart. And having that heart of humility. The humility is knowing that he's doing that. That is him. He's creating in me a new heart. I cannot do it myself. Like you think about the law, we could not follow the law ourselves. But also change that stony, stubborn heart, and I can be very stubborn. I'm pretty stubborn. And give me a tender, responsive heart. And a responsive person is quick to reach to people, or they're quick to react. And they're quick to reach to the people, react to the people or events, and to show emotions such as pleasure and affection. So the quick to response is that quick to praise him, the response to praise him, the response to say, I love you, Jesus. I'm doing this for you because I love you, because you've changed my heart. And that humble heart is the humility is not being proud and not believing that I can do it better than him. And one of those things, humility is a descending, right? Like we ascend to greater heights, but we have to descend ourselves to bow to him, to allow him to do his work in us. And then we just get to go along for the ride.
And I love it that you said humility is like a descent, yet humility is before honor. The a haughty spirit is before destruction, but humility is before honor. And I used to tell God all the time, Carol, it took me a long, long time to understand this, because I said, God, I feel so humiliated. I feel so passed over. I feel so this. But all humiliated is what it boiled down to. And I heard and I listened once, and I was like, as if, God, you're not hearing me. And he said, just so clearly, I felt in my spirit, I get you. That's good. I'm glad. And I'm like, what? Yeah, humiliated is a derivative of humility. And you're ready. That embrace where you are on the where to where you're going. So I stopped embracing the humiliated part of it and recognizing that God was allowing the transactions to come to humble me. And out of that humbleness was humility, because we need humility to be able to walk in forgiveness. And I don't know who it is, but somebody in the GCBN community says humility as a superpower. It may be Larissa or somebody like that. But to seeing humility as a superpower. And I said, love is my superpower. But you have to have a component or a piece built in to that love walk, has to be humility. And I said, I can't wait to hear that. I want to hear more about that. Because when we humble ourselves, when we walk in that state of humility, that means that, and I mean, fully embracing it, not pretentious, because it shows in your love walk. It shows how you forgive people. It shows how you entreat people. It shows how you engage with people, even when they're unpleasant to deal with, even when you have a gift of discernment and you know what that's coming out of their mouths is not really how they feel about you. When they say mean or cruel things, you have to embrace humility to walk out love. And so what you're saying is we have to go down. And I believe, and I'm going to share this because God's dealing with me what I'm to say at GCBN, GGG's annual God Golfing Girls 9th annual in August. One of the things is we've got to show how when we're haughty and we are inflated, but when we walk in humility, God elevates us. And he's actually given me a model to demonstrate that for GGG that just amazes me, is how God wants us. And sometimes people when you're inflated, you can pop. But
Mhm.
but when you're elevated, it's hard to contain it. You've got to go higher. You've got to go higher.
And I think the Lord is just speaking to me about humility is just waking up and saying, God, I'm along with you. Show me what to do. Because I think with my personality as an achiever and stuff like that, the thing that I can struggle with is just um self-criticism, and like, oh, I shouldn't be too proud about this when it's my personality being excited. And wow, look what God did, right? Like the humility, I think, just comes every day saying, Lord, I love you. I look forward to this new faith, new hope, new love that you have, and giving it to him to do and just being along for the ride. Because I think sometimes we can look at humility in a different aspect. So, okay, let's see what I can cover in 7 minutes. So inseparable integrity. Inseparable are things that are so closely connected that they cannot be considered separately. If two people are inseparable, you are emphasizing that they are very good friends and they spend a lot of time together. And that's what I want to be with the Lord. I want people to see me and know, ooh, she's got Jesus with her all the time. And I'm not always like super cheerful. I have those days where I really struggle, but I want to be able to always go back to him or be reminded. That's what we're here for everyone, to remind them to not, like, you have this inseparable relationship with the Lord. All you have to do is just turn right around. You don't have to, sometimes we think we have to climb up to the Lord and that he's down reaching out to us at the peak. But remember, he's that Sherpa, and we don't ever want to be separated from that Sherpa. And he's not going to leave us. We may try to descend without him, but he's right behind us, even if we're not trying to turn around for help. And then that integrity is just being honest and firm in your moral principles and a state of being united as a whole. And so that integrity of, I was thinking, what does that look like in that relationship? And the Lord told me, look at my marriage. I'm recently married. My relationship with the Lord has changed. He's taken me to a different level. And, he was my husband. He's blessed me with Ben. And so some of that is, how do I fit you into my life, Lord? Because it used to be all you. And I'm learning how to balance that. But I looked to my marriage and I looked at how much I love Ben. And what happens? I wake up with him. I lie down and sleep next to him, right? I'll hug him and I'll kiss him throughout the day. I'll hold his hand. I make him dinner. We're going to talk. I'm just going to tell him, like, we'll be like, we're so grateful for each other. I think about him, my heart flutters. I'll send him a little text, says I love you, or just like a kiss little emoji, And so that was a visual for me and how to stay inseparable with the Lord throughout the day, and just allowing him, to be my husband, my Sherpa. Let's talk, let's communicate, and just really stay plugged into him. And then gracious giver. Gracious is being pleasantly kind and benevolent and courteous. And then giver, sometimes we think monetarily, and some of us are very much blessed with, the opportunity to be a giver financially, to support. I kind of looked at it another way, and even ways that God gives to me, but the way that I can give to my staff. And when you give, you impart, or you communicate, or you place in someone else's care. You're imparting your knowledge, and then you're also trusting others to take care of that knowledge or act out what you want. For me, when I look at it as in my staff, in my position as an executive director, I now have a staff that with the positions that we have are all filled. And I'd kind of been in a journey where it was like, God, you're taking away my staff, and here I am. But I have so people of high caliber in these positions that I'm able to go higher in the position that I am, and I'm able to grow and go to new heights. But I have to give over the things that I have been doing myself, and I have to impart those in a gracious way to trust that God is going to take the ministry higher. He's going to take my staff higher. He's going to take me higher. So that requires me to graciously give over stuff.
Just
So,
quickly, just very quickly,
yes.
because I want you to wrap it up because you're doing an excellent job. That is such a unique way to view gracious giver. I love that. And I thank you for putting it out there because that is an issue in leadership. You've got to pass off to make them great, to be able to exercise their opportunities. Like, our team is growing and Chrissy McKee is a part of it. So her and Rosalind have meetings that I know of. Jessica and Roz will speak of things that I don't know of. And I'm good with that. The things that I need to know, I mean, they're blind copying me and are either copying me on things, but I don't have to know everything. I want them to be innovative. And I love that. So thank you for sharing that servant leadership tip. And those that are listening, you need to grab that. It's a good one.
Okay, so I'm gonna hustle in this, honor him in my health. And really there's the honoring him in my spiritual, mental, physical health. I don't have time to go into everything, but I had been on my journey, on my climb to physical, mental, spiritual health. Last year I started something new. It felt like I'd arrived. And then all of a sudden, everything was taken away from me in a car accident. And that's some of the stuff that I've been dealing with in my health. I realize that when my health is taken away throughout my life, I've been like this, I get so upset. But one thing that I love about how to honor him in my health, it honestly starts with Proverbs 17:22. I think this is the way to honor him and brings a joyful heart, a healthy body. Gracious words are like a honeycomb, sweetness to the soul, and health to the body. And so, one of the ways that whenever I'm getting in that pit, in that, overthinking and Satan just attacking me, confessing scripture that brings about the healing to my soul. And once that honoring him in the healing aspect, honoring him in my health of my soul, all those other things will fall into place. And so that's my brief H. Exemplary execute is someone, exemplary is worthy of imitation, commendable. They serve as an illustration. And then execution, you carry out, accomplish, perform, or do. So I'm going to imitate Christ and I'm going to carry out what he wants me to do here on earth. And then relationship over revenue. One thing that God really kind of showed me in this was revenue is a return on investment, right? And relationship. What was his investment in us? Relationship over revenue. Let's say revenue is the old law, right? Well, or let's just say there's the old law. What did God really want from us? He wanted relationship. So the investment that he put in, the sacrifice of Christ, was what he got back, was that relationship. So that when you're thinking of people, when you're thinking of your staff, what can they bring me? When you're thinking of, for me, a donor or whatever, the revenue, put that relationship over that. And, everything else will fall into place. So, okay.
Amazing. Amazing. Expected nothing less. I love it when people come on this platform and it is so apparent that they bathe their presentation in prayer and they gave God time to speak to them so that it could be an anointed word that would go off into the atmosphere and that anointed would break the yoke in the lives of so many that have participated today or will watch the replays. Thank you, Carol. This has been powerful. And that's because I have no other word to say to you right now. Other than that, there's several comments that you'll have to go over and grab because we just, I love it that we get to do the exchange. But I love it that people are watching and putting comments back out there saying this is a blessing for me or that is making a difference. So I want to thank you for those that several people have shared our presentation today. And so I want to thank them for that. I also want to thank you all for joining us. I would like to invite you, if you're not already a member of Georgia Christian Business Network and undergirding our efforts to put God back in business, please join us. Become a sponsor. Family Promise of Gwinnett, we partner together. We are sponsors of one another. I told you already, I sit on the board, have a great opportunity to recognize as a community partner to give them this space as we did. Good News Club was a couple of weeks ago. Renee Costner is the executive director, and then Colette Cosby from the YMCA was here. I understand in a board meeting last week with the YMCA that we're partnering with Family Promise of Gwinnett, and I'm loving that. I was like, God, this is you. And I get to sit on that board last week. But I love the spirit of these executive directors that are leading these awesome causes. We're ending homelessness one family at a time. And it just sitting in the board meetings and hearing the involvement, how the team is coming together so good and strong and allowing you to get out to get more visibility because homelessness is an issue. It's a huge issue. Having just come off the bed raised and great opportunities going forward that we will provide for people to get involved. And you can get involved right now. And I'm going to let you share a couple of opportunities where we could actually allow GCBN community and those that are in our sphere of influence to reach out to Family Promise of Gwinnett to be able to come an agent of love to those that are homeless and that have a place and a bed to lay their head to call their own. But I also would like to bring to the attention of those listeners and providers, we have an event June 1, God Golfing Girls Virtual Clinic with the awesome Taylor Allen. Yep, you can have a virtual clinic on June 1. I want you to join. It's free. If you're on the fence about God Golfing Girls, and Carol's wearing a jacket today from last year, right? Yeah. I loved it. Yes. Thank you so much. You had a great time at GGG last year.
Oh, I loved it. Loved it. Met some amazing women, snagged them for my board.
Yes, two of their board members now were people that you met at God Golfing Girls. Dr. Dawn Marie Kier and Delisa Brown are now board members, fellow board members at Family Promise of Gwinnett, and an awesome, valuable resource for the Family Promise family. And we appreciate that. And Carol met them because she got out and came to GGG, and I will offer you that you're already registered to come for this year as
Thank
well.
You.
We're so excited about that. But I want to also invite others to be able to come to register. It's August 16th through the 18th at the amazing Lake Lanier Resort. It is a wonderful time from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Women get involved, get registered. If you are male, invite your women in your life to be able to come back. Send them to us, and I promise you, you'll receive back a different woman that is more valuable because she understands who she is and who she is on a higher plateau. And we're going higher. We're seated in high places. So go out, check out our website, gcbnetwork.com. But food is not the boss of me. June 8th. I need you folks to get registered. I wrote a book, a devotional, Food is Not the Boss of Me, back in 2011. I've updated it. I'm going to facilitate that teaching, and I could use your support out there, along with Julie Mills, my good buddy. She's written a book, The Real Deal About Cancer, and Juice Plus, a company that one of her business opportunities is going to be our sponsor as well. We reached out to some other people to support us, but we'd love to have you in the house on June 8th at Cornerstone, downtown Lawrenceville. Our Guardian Plus sponsors, one of them, has allowed us to be there. Would love to have you come. We're going to have breakfast and lunch. We have panel discussion with some people that are expert knowledge. Dr. Brendan Mines is our keynote for that day, and Julie and I both will present along with the panel. We have vendor spaces available. We want you in the house. Carol, it's been wonderful. I apologize. We started a little bit late, so we're doing okay, I think. But I'm going to give you some closing remarks. If you would just close us out. And thank you all for joining us today. This has been wonderful. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Beth. Well, you said that I could talk just briefly about ways to get involved at Family Promise. One of the things is we have a homeless shelter that is called Promise Haven, and we have volunteers that are needed 365 days a year. And it gives you the opportunity to really minister to our families that are going through homelessness and act out your faith and love. You can provide a meal, come and eat with them. You can be like one of our staff members and open the house for the evening. Or you could sleep for Jesus and stay overnight on Fridays and Saturdays. But there's just so many ways to get involved that you're able to act out your faith and serve the people who are the most in need. And that's what you're able to do for, parents who have children ages 18 and under who are experiencing homelessness. Another way that you can get involved, which I would love to see the whole GCBN community be able to do this, is our Night Without a Bed campaign. And so we have the month of August where you can sign up to sleep without a bed and go to your network and help raise awareness about the issue of family homelessness, as well as funds for us to be able to provide a bed for a child. And it's just a way that you can help us in our operating expenses so that we can continue to offer the awesome services and programs that we provide for our families. I do want to say thank you again, Beth. This has been wonderful. Just preparing for this has really taken me to a higher level. And I just thank you for everything that you do here for all of us.
Oh, Carol, it has been my joy and my pleasure. You and I could talk all day
I
long.
know.
This is a unique God divine appointment. He reconnected us back then at Cornerstone that day, some 2 years ago. And I got drafted with you and Jeanette for the board. I think Monique was probably a part of that as well, but I've enjoyed it. And I'm so glad to be a part. Thank you for allowing me to serve you and Ron. Your leadership is just superb. But thank you guys for joining us again. Take care. We'll talk soon, Carol. God bless you guys. Have a great afternoon. Chew on this word and share it on your news feed. Somebody needs to hear this today. God bless you. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye.